again until the end of March, actually. And now it's happening. So we've gotten the word that these cases will be dismissed finally, and there'll be expungements of the records of people that have had prior convictions for marijuana. I mean, this really means a tremendous amount for people that may not have been able to get jobs, may not have been able to get apartments based on their history with personal use, basically having a conviction for personal, just a small amount of marijuana on their person. This has led to, obviously, it can lead to other charges as well. So it really means a lot what's going to happen. It's exciting for me. And there's challenges too that are going to be coming with it. I know the thing that was sort of stopping it from going through was the issue around juvenile use, underage use of marijuana, and whether there was going to be penalties there for young people convicted or caught with marijuana. We obviously don't want young people using it. That's not what this law is meant to do. But the question was, well, what are those penalties going to look like? Are there going to be fines? Is there going to be potential for jail time? What's that going to look like? And so I think that was one of the catching points that it seems like they've managed to maneuver. It also looks like it's going to sort of, as a coincidence, impact how youth are penalized for alcohol as well now. So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out how that's all going to play out. But it's pretty interesting stuff going on right now, sort of in the world of criminal justice and social justice, criminal justice reform right now. So I don't know. I don't want to keep talking. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything that they specifically wanted to ask me about. Feel free.
If you have any questions on.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
What is the age limit for these? Are there age restrictions?
Yes.
Yeah, please explain.
Yes, absolutely. So underage, just like there's restrictions for underage drinking, it's not going to be legal for people underage to possess or use marijuana, just like it's not for alcohol. So that's it. Does that answer your question? Was that what you were asking?
Yes. What's the age?
I believe it's 18. I believe it's actually, you know what? I believe no, it's 21. I'm sorry. It's 21.
No, it's 21.
It's 21, just like alcohol.
What does it mean if a youth under 21?
So this was the sticking point that I was telling you about, right? There was some discussion. There were some people for the marijuana bill that didn't want any penalties. They wanted it to be treatment, community service, things of that nature, because the idea behind this legislation is to undo some of this sort of disparate treatment that has impacted these underserved, underrepresented minority communities in an unfair way, right? So we don't want to now cut something into the legislation, carve something into it that's going to further impact people potentially negatively, especially young people. However, the flip side is we don't want it to be a free-for-all either, right? There's a lot of concerns about underage use, whether it be driving, impaired driving, different things. So that's not something they wanted to open up either, where it's like, okay, everybody can use it, including young people. That's not what they wanted. So what it seems that they landed on is a penalty of, it's a fine of $50. I believe it's a $50 fine for the first offense. And there's going to be, I know there's going to be community service tied to that as well. So I'm still trying to understand it all, because I'm just getting it. Like, we're literally at the legislation. It's funny. I was looking at the email. It's about 241 pages long. So it'll take me a little while to get through it, just to understand it all. But I have the crux of what it is. But yes, there will be penalties. They won't be severe penalties. These are not things that are going to go on someone's record. It'll be like a ticket. It'll be like them getting a parking ticket of sorts, if that makes sense.
Eric, I have a question.
Sure.
So I understand this is going to be recreational marijuana, right? Not medical marijuana.
Right. So
When is it going to be?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, when is it going to hit the market, and where is it going to be made available to people?
So in terms of how is it going to be marketed, how are people going to be able to sort of get licenses for business? Is that your question? So I'm not against.
For business.
Say that again.
One part is how are people going to get licenses for business, but the other part is how is the common man going to start accessing or purchasing it?
So there'll be dispensaries basically set up, right? I imagine it will be like storefronts. I'm not sure if there's going to be an online market for it. I'm not even sure how this all looks. There is a commission. Part of the legislation is that they created a commission. It created a commission to regulate all of this, right? They're going to be in the process of answering these very questions. What is this going to look like? The legislators and our own Assemblyman Joe Danielson was a major part of crafting this legislation. So he was a big part of this. And he's a subject matter expert on all of this. And I've asked him a lot of questions myself. But I know the commission is going to be tasked with creating this, right? What is this going to look like? But I do know that as part of the legislation, they've written in where there's going to be something called like a micro license. So basically the idea is they want to make sure that everyone has access to this as a business opportunity if they want it. We don't want to decriminalize marijuana and then not give the opportunities in an equal way to the very communities that were negatively impacted by it, if that makes any sense. So to look at it from a criminal justice and really a social justice perspective, for people that have been penalized and have paid the highest price when this was still a criminal offense, to not be able to benefit and share in the business opportunity of it would be more unfairness. So part of the commission's job is to make sure that there are equal opportunities for people to run this as a business. So hopefully that answers your question.
I have a question.
This is Stan.
Hi.
Hi. It's about the juvenile offense about the drug use. Could you tell us if the commission will be following any roadmap, any role models, something like that?
So I imagine the people that crafted, and I know some of these legislators personally, aside from Joe Danielson, I know Jamel Holly personally, I know Annette Quijano personally. These people are, some of them are attorneys. Some of them, have been legislators for a long time. Some of them have ties to law enforcement. They're very smart. So they're looking at this from every perspective. And so I think the commission, as far as a roadmap, well, one of the roadmaps that we've had, and this is one of the good things about not being the first, right? In something, we've gotten to see, and they've gotten to see how other states have gone about decriminalizing and legalizing marijuana. So what are the things that have worked? Not everything has worked, right? Not everything has gone according to plan. So they've had that as a benchmark to go, okay, how do we avoid that problem here in New Jersey, right? They've taken a lot of care because this is something that, Phil Murphy, he campaigned on, right? And here we are, later, and it's just now getting it done because there's been so much work going into it. To really make sure that it's done right. So the commission, I'm sure that they have a benchmark. I can't tell you exactly what that is, but I'm sure that has to do with the experience and research data that has come from that has gone there before us.
Well, my second part of my question, why in the commission always there are attorneys, lawyers, and politicians. Why don't we have any scientists, any psychologists, any doctors?
So let me
Could you
just say,
name one of them?
I can't tell you specifically who's on the commission. I'm not sure if all of the parties involved have been named or is it just ahead. I mean, this literally just happened on Monday. So it's so new. I can't say for sure, but I promise you that it's going to be a mix of people, business people, doctors, psychologists, like you said. It changes a lot because it's going to be very different from how we've done things so far. There's going to be drug commission experts and people that are experts in that kind of thing. So it's not just going to be attorneys and politicians. I hear you, and I hear the concern behind it. I think everybody needs to be involved in this, particularly law enforcement, because they're the ones on the street, right? They're the ones that are going to be that are potentially stopping people. Not only do they have to understand, what the role is now, right? What are they allowed to do by law? What are they required to do? What are they prohibited from doing? And so they need to be part of the team as well. They need to be part. So I'm sure that there's going to be high-level law enforcement on this commission. So I'm sure it's going to look like a hodgepodge of people from all the different parts of the community. It really has to be, I think, to be successful. And I'm sure the folks in charge of putting this together know that.
Okay, listen, you got a question? You got a,
I have a question.
Hi, Alex.
Hello, Erica.
Hi. If I could just ask,
Alex, hold on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gary.
Alex, hold on just a minute. Rithika, you had a question, you have to unmute yourself. Go ahead, Rithika.
I'm so sorry.
Hi.
I don't mean to disturb you, but
No, it's okay.
here. My question to you is, are there any limitations on excessive possession of marijuana? And if there are, what are the consequences of having excess amounts, and what is considered an excess amount?
So I definitely won't be able to answer all of those questions because I'm still digesting it to understand how the law is changing exactly from what we have now versus what it's going to be, right? There's certain things that, I've been prosecuting now. I started as a county prosecutor in the Bronx in 2000 when I graduated from law school.
She's a high school student.
Yeah. So it's been a while for me that I've been doing this. And as far as, prosecuting marijuana cases on the municipal level here in New Jersey since 2012. So that's a long time of I can sort of do it with my eyes closed. I know what the laws are. Now that they're changing, it's like, whoa, what does that mean? So I realize that it's decriminalized. So they're not going to be coming to municipal court. They're going to be going another route. What we will probably see is possibly the underage use of marijuana that's still prohibited. Your question to excessive amounts. So this legislation is not targeting excessive amounts of marijuana. So right now, over 50 grams, right, is something that takes you into superior court. That is amounts where someone is either cultivating it or selling it, right? So that this doesn't really target that. Those people are still that's still a criminal offense. Okay, this targets specifically personal use marijuana. Okay, so we're talking about small amounts of marijuana that would be indicative of personal use versus large amounts of marijuana that are clearly going to be indicative of something other than personal use. Now, if you are someone that has a license, now there's licenses, right? You're going to be able to apply for a license to sell marijuana. You're going to be able to have a business now. You'll have to have that license. Otherwise, it's going to be a criminal.
Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Erica.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to
I
see you.
have a question. Recognizing the diversity that we have in our township,
Yes.
what do you think as far as the benefit, pluses or minuses to our community? That's one part of the question. The second part of the question is that, is there any funding in this legislation to allow educating people about the dangers of marijuana so that people suddenly they don't start just using like they used to do the cigarettes in the old days?
Right, right. So to answer, I just want to make sure I got your first question in terms of the benefit or pluses and minuses to our specific community, right?
Sure.
Um, like you said, Franklin Township is extremely diverse, right? Very diverse community. I was the prosecutor here for 2 years. Prior to being prosecutor here, I prosecuted in Irvington, New Jersey, up in Essex County. I still currently prosecute part-time for the city of East Orange, mainly urban communities, right? That's where I've been when I started at law school as a county prosecutor's office, right? Then I was in Essex County at the county level. So mainly urban communities. So that's my experience. And so I've seen firsthand the disparate treatment. At the end of the day, there are people that are and they're either selling drugs, they're problems for communities across the state and across the country, right? But then you have, folks that are don't fall into that, but sometimes, right, there are laws that basically they don't apply the same way to the same people, and that's really what this legislation is trying to target, specifically with marijuana. Obviously, there's a lot of issues in the community that need to be addressed. All of us are more acutely aware of that over the last year. This is just one part of sort of that piece that we're talking about. So as far as specific to our community, I think what we'll see is personal use marijuana used responsibly. Sort of the scientists and the experts say that it can be used responsibly. Obviously, we know that there are medical uses for it. There's other beneficial uses for it. I mean, from everything from cancer patients, pain relief, glaucoma. I mean, there's so many things, and I encourage everybody to research it. Right? It's something that there's a lot of information out there, and it's happening. You can understand what they're talking about the more you research it and you learn about it. Because I'm doing it too. I'm not an expert in it. I definitely know how to prosecute these cases. I know the law, but in terms of what this means and what it's going to look like, it's new for all of us, including me. But what I hope is that it's going to give, those members of, underserved populations, poor people, minorities, Black males in particular, an opportunity to hopefully go down a different path. A lot of times what happens is once you start to build up conviction, right? You get a job, you're not going to go to school. It kind of, I feel like, encourages people or discourages them from living their lives together. So hopefully the benefit that we're going to see is the opposite effect of that, okay? Personal use marijuana is not going to be a death sentence as far as that goes. So hopefully that's the benefit. I think
Gary,
I think that's what
Gary.
we're looking for.
Yes, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah.
I have a question.
If I may suggest, Gary, we are hearing a lot of echoes, and it looks like it's coming from your phone because we see your name as a speaker all the time. If you could kindly mute. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Gary.
I'm sorry. And Alex, I know you had another part of your question. I just want to make sure that
My second part was briefly just is there any budget to train people in the dangers of
Yes.
the marijuana?
Yes. So my understanding of the legislation is there are so many facets to this, right? There's so many facets, which is part of why, if folks can understand, it took so long, because we might be on the same page when it comes to, you know, the impacts on minority communities, poor communities, you know, things of that nature. But we may not be on the same page when it comes to, okay, well, if we decriminalize this and now we make it where, you know, it's a revenue source, right? You know, how are we going to make that a level field? Because that's part of the problem, right? An opportunity comes around and only people at the top with access get the first bite at the apple, right? So the other people, it kind of continues the cycle. This has multiple ways for us to reverse these cycles that we're talking about, right? As far as the education piece, there's definitely going to be a part of that. So there's going to be I believe the commission is going to be involved in creating a treatment plan, so now that we're decriminalizing this, it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be people that are abusing it, right? Just like anything else, alcohol is not illegal, but people abuse it, right? So what do we do with those people that are addicts, right? Folks that need help. So I hear what you're saying in terms of, what is the plan to provide opportunities for education? Maybe, mental health is going to be a big part of that, right? And counseling, right? So all of those things are going to be a part of this plan as to how this rolls out, okay? I think especially for young people, it's important, right? We're going to,
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to be taking the education into the schools. I definitely think that's where they need to start. Sometimes I feel like we're trying to educate these kids too late. We need to get them, I think, at an earlier age to understand so they don't fall into those patterns, because a lot of kids do so at a very young age. I see it. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And so I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm very interested in seeing how this develops. But that's got to be a big part of it. I agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Someone's trying to speak. Is that Mr. Goods?
Yes, it is.
Hi. And maybe if you can get a little closer to your microphone.
I'm supposed to, is that close enough?
Okay, I feel I can hear you a little bit.
A little bit?
I can hear you. Go ahead. I'll try to hear your question.
Go ahead.
When you talk about, this commission and its police and its lawyers and its this and its that, but these communities that they impact, these young people that they walk by and say, "Oh, I smell marijuana,"
Right.
Or either they're driving down the street and they stop them for a ticket. "I smell marijuana in the car," and they drag them out of the car and whatnot. What is the impact of our community? Where is our community on these commissions?
Okay. So that's a great question. I definitely agree. Again, I don't know all of the makeup, how large this commission is going to be. Are they going to be sending smaller commissions into these communities? So therefore, maybe every municipality will have a commission, like sort of a subcommittee. I'm not sure how it's all going to look, but I hear what you're saying. To your specific point about what law enforcement is going to be able to do and not be able to do, one of the things I know is that as far as the juveniles are concerned, from my understanding, again, I'm still digesting all of this myself, they're not going to be able to make a stop simply based on the smell of marijuana, where before that was enough probable cause to stop a person. Okay, stop a person in the street or stop their vehicle. That's not going to be the case anymore, at least for juveniles. Okay, so I don't know how they're going to determine who's juvenile from inside of a car. So I'm thinking that might apply in general, that the smell of marijuana is no longer going to be enough for a police officer to effectuate a traffic stop. That is my understanding. Okay. So that is something that is a big change from what was the case.
I'm just telling you from somebody from the community. And this age of 21 is unrealistic.
Uh-huh.
It's just, it's a fantasy. It's not going to work. It didn't work with cigarettes, and it doesn't work with alcohol.
Right.
So, you know, I think they're just setting up for just to dig back into our community.
So
At
what do
age
you
of
think?
21,
What is your concern when you say that it didn't work with
what is
cigarettes,
my
it didn't work with
concern?
alcohol?
Our kids are exposed to a lot of stuff with this internet and everything that's going on. And they're not having a say of what's going on in their life. And they're totally different than when I was a kid.
Right.
You understand? They had more respect for adults and so forth. And we weren't exposed to everything these kids are exposed to.
Right.
And, you know, when you make a unrealistic thing about, well, you know, it's out here on the streets, but you can't have none, they don't believe in that. You're going to get our kids in trouble. And the same thing that exists now is just going to exist at a different level later. That's
So-
what we're creating, the same problem all over again.
Right.
I don't see any remedy or anything. Our community is poor, which means who in our community is going to own a dispensary? Who in our community is going to own a dispensary?
And I hear your point completely.
Go ahead.
I was saying, I hear your point completely. So I know, I mean, I don't know what it's gonna, what is actually gonna be required to set something like this up. You're right. I'm curious to see myself how that portion of it is going to play out. I know that they have carved out a specific number of licenses, and then there's something called a micro license that I'm learning about that basically would not be an official sort of storefront dispensary, but like an individual being able to have a small setup versus some large commercial dispensary. So it's being done in a way to give more individuals an opportunity. So I'm assuming the overhead and the capital required to operate under a micro license would be significantly less than what would be required to operate under a regular license. That's what logic tells me, but I still don't know. All right. At the end of the day, here's one thing I will say. I think as this is rolling out, it is going to be a learning process for everyone. Wherever you stand on this issue, right? We're going to see how it goes. The legislators are standing from a place where, well, this is how we hope it works. We have good intentions of hoping that it works this way, but as time always tells us, sometimes adjustments are necessary, right? So if it is not having the intended effect or impact on a certain population, especially the population that we're trying to turn things around for, well, then it's going to require an adjustment. It's going to require, okay, that's not working. What can we do that's going to work? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to require people sort of continuing to have their voices heard, right? A commission like this one, right? We're at the municipal level, but we have legislators right in our community, right? Joe Danielson is just one example, right? He's someone that he wants to have that conversation. He wants to hear, how is this working? How is it not working? What do I need to go back to Trenton now and adjust when it comes to this? So I still have hope that, it's a good place to start. But I do think that as time goes on, adjustments are going to be necessary. It's just inevitable.
We have to finish.
This is Edna.
We have to finish.
This is Edna.
Wait, hold on. We have to finish. Go ahead, Edna. Are you on the phone, Edna? You on the phone, Edna?
Yes, I'm on the phone. I'm at work and I couldn't get on the video, so I had to call in.
That's why I don't see you. Okay. Last question.
Hi.
Last question. Go ahead, Edna.
So as I'm sure all of us agree, justice of any kind is tied to socioeconomic status, socioeconomic situations, and this situation is one of those that speaks to that. Given that there's still so much that's unknown, and there is an opportunity to provide economic opportunity with this legislation being passed, is there some plan to hold, and maybe it's too early to tell, but is there some plan to hold some, people are hungry for information where we have all these questions, practically everywhere you go today, people are asking these same questions.
Yes, about this
So is there a plan
specific
to have
thing,
some
about the
kind of
marijuana
virtual
legislation?
Yes. Is there like because I think we need like, like a virtual town hall or.
I think that's a great
um,
idea. And as you bring it up, I'm gonna make a note. Okay, I keep bringing up Joe, but I mean, it's almost like in this pandemic, having a mayor that is a medical doctor, right, was kind of a bonus, in my opinion, right? So having one of the architects of this legislation, a resident of our town, and happens to be the assemblyman for our district, is huge. He's doing some Zoom sort of town halls right now, mainly around the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and a couple of other things. But I'm going to bring this up to him because I do think that it's important. There's a lot of questions, and he's the guy with the answers. He's the guy that knows. He's a subject matter expert, and he's right here in our township. So I'm going to bring this up to him. I think that's a great idea.
Maybe there's an opportunity for us as a commission to lend our name to hosting such a virtual event. You know, it was like, the senator, the assemblyman's office and the Human Relations Commission, present a virtual town. Because there's so many aspects of this legislation to talk about. I mean, there could be like a whole hour just about the licensing.
Probably more than an hour. I'll tell you. Like, it's probably more than an hour. Every time he talks about it, it's like goes on and on, questions from all over the place. So I agree. I think it's something that will probably have to happen in like a series, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Maybe it seems to me like there's a need for a series, like a 101 on it, would be the first one. And then we break it up to another 2 sessions on 2 separate things, as it relates to the legislation.
What I will tell you, I think that's an excellent idea. I'll speak with Gary about it. Gary, let's talk about it. How we can
I'll have Edna handle it, and then we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea, Edna. That's a good idea, Edna. Okay, I have to close this now. Are there any other questions before I let Erica go? You were terrific, Erica.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Again, it almost like I was kind of thinking, I was telling Gary, I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about. Hopefully they'll have questions. And then here goes the marijuana list. I was like, wow, okay. It kind of gave it to me, right?
Thank you so much, Erica.
You're welcome. Everybody have a good night. Thank you so much for having me. I hope to come back to see you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you. Okay, let's continue our meeting with the police report. And we have tonight, Officer Kenneth Reed on. So please unmute yourself and you can give us your report, Kenny, okay? Can you hear me, Kenny? Kenneth, can you hear me? Kenneth Reed? Are you on, Ken?
Looks like he just stepped out of his seat, Gary. He doesn't seem to be sitting there. He may come back.
Yeah, I don't see him now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue. We had a youth center report. So, Rissa, can you give this a short report on that, please?
Definitely, sir. back. Hello?
Can you hear me,
Hello?
Mr.?
Can anybody hear?
Can you hear me,
I can
Mr.?
hear you now.
Oh, yeah,
No, just came up.
I can hear you now as well. I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out, so.
Go ahead, Ritha, go ahead.
Well, the email reads, the Youth Center Steering Committee is advising that we wait until we get closer to the opening of the YC to bring in the youth on the advisory board. That's also a recommendation from the Board of Ed members on the YC Steering Committee. There was a mix-up with the agricultural firm, Kimmel Bogret. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the outside of the center color scheme, and the youth has had chosen a few years ago. Thus, we told the architect firm that the sliding at the gym and stairs tower were already selected from the manufacturer's standard range. So the color blue and rust are pretty much set. No changes over there.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Alex, can you give an up-to-date report on the COVID testing and the vaccine, maybe?
Hello, Gary. Sure. We have still COVID testing going on every Sunday, and I hope everybody takes advantage of that. We have it at least one more Sunday, this coming Sunday. After that, I'm not 100% sure we're going to be having, but we are in discussion. And as far as the vaccination, probably most of you have seen the email that I sent out last Sunday, not last Sunday, the Sunday before that, on the 13th, at the request of our Director of Commissioner, Chanel Robinson. She asked me to partner with her and send an email to everybody, especially the houses of worship, to register for the vaccination. We had about 2,200 people have registered, and I believe several people have gotten already calls to, and they have appointments for vaccination. So it has been a good program.
At the church, Alex?
At the church, at the Baptist church. We still have the registration open, so anybody is registering, they're on the waiting list. And every week I give the waiting list to Chanel, so hopefully they will also have the opportunity to get.
Okay, very good. Okay, now
I stop. Alex, could you send me the location and the schedule for testing?
For the COVID testing, it's at the middle school. It's on the middle school on Hamilton Road at the old high school.
And it's every Sunday, you say?
Every Sunday from 11 o'clock till 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., 11 a.m., 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. That's very good. And I think the faith-based, we're giving out shots at First Baptist and so forth. And I thank Johnny Tibbs for, getting us real cool for that.
Very good. Very good. Yes.
thank you. Johnny Sims is having difficulty. For some reason, he can't get on. I don't know why. I know a policeman who was on, he's not there anymore. So I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he had a call. Is there anything else? Because I don't have anything else. Is there anything else to report on? Our next...
I just wanted to add that, this is Edna, I just wanted to add that in case you know anyone who is interested in obtaining more information about the vaccines, I'm moderating tomorrow a Spanish language webinar on the vaccine.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be happy to send a Zoom. It's being sponsored by the Hispanic Democrats of Somerset County.
Oh, okay. That's very good. Okay, our next meeting is March 24th. We're having the new director of the recreation because Alice Sepowitz has retired now. So the new director will be our guest speaker on March 24th.
I
If
have
there's any,
something wanted to add to today's meeting.
Go
This
ahead.
regarding Flint High School and regarding all the schools. There is a plan to go back to synchronous schools via Zoom on Fridays as well. Right now, we are having a 4-day synchronous and a 1-day asynchronous learning session. However, we have known that very soon, given the results of surveys given out to students to sign and give student input on, there is a very high possibility that students will be on going to school virtually on Fridays as well.
put that in the minutes, please, Rebecca, okay? I see that our policeman has returned. Kenneth, will you give your police report, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is my first meeting with the HRC. Just a quick background about me. I was born and raised in Franklin, went to Franklin schools, graduated in 2008. Went to RBCC for a couple years, and then became a police officer at Rutgers University in the city of Newark for about 2.5 years. And since then, I've been a Franklin Township police officer for 6 years, and I'm now assigned to, I've been assigned to patrol the first 5 years here, and then I was assigned to Franklin High School to be a school resource officer. And since July of this last year, I have now been assigned to the Community Relations Bureau, which is a new unit to enhance community relations between the police and the community, and to bring different resources to the community that we may have not had before. So saying that, right now with the weather and all the snow that we had, it kind of deterred a lot of the burglaries that we have had in town. Mostly motor vehicles that was burglarized. So we asked everyone to please make sure you lock your car. Make sure you lock your vehicles to make sure that you deter cars being stolen. The second thing, we're also working on our Citizens Academy that I'm coordinating. So that's something that we're going to be having in the near future. And basically what a Citizens Academy is that the residents of Franklin Township can basically apply to attend a 14, 16-week class that we have once a week, and to see what it's like to become a police officer. We're in the planning stages of it now. So, I should have more information by the next meeting or the meeting after that to give that to you. On Saturday, we're hosting a coat giveaway here between 2 and 5 o'clock. We are working with the Community Baptist Church. They're going to be coming down to our building at 935 Hampton Street to do a coat giveaway. We have a lot of coats. We're going to get a lot more coats by then. And we're opening up to everyone to let them know that we're doing a coat giveaway. If you know someone that may need a coat, or a family that may need a coat, please bring them down our way. It's going to be on Saturday, February 27th, between 2 and 5 p.m. It's going to be down here at 935 Hampton Street. If you don't know where that is, essentially that is on Hampton Street, right across the street from Walgreens. That's where I work out of. We've been in this building since July, but we actually opened it up in September for our open house and also book bag giveaway. Since then, with the COVID restrictions, we haven't really had much go on here, but we also have had another coat giveaway in December, and we also did 3 food distributions, 2 from this building here and 1 at First Baptist. And essentially, we worked with the Northbridge Foundation, and we had essentially 1,600 boxes of food distributed to hundreds of families in Franklin Township, where they came to us and we distributed that food. So we want to just remind everyone of that. We got a youth cadet program coming through. We're in the final stages of that, so we'll have that information for you at the next meeting. And we just wanted to remind everyone, with the winter and the snow and everything, to with the new ordinance that they have, if you park your vehicle on the street, there's certain streets are excluded. I think it's Home Street and Phillips. To basically to move your vehicles, except for those couple streets, so that we can get the streets plowed, so we can have access to the streets and they can be plowed appropriately, the right way. During snow removal, and also make sure that just be mindful that you have 24 hours to remove snow once the snow stops. After snowstorms, that was the issue that we had after the major snowstorm, that a lot of people did not shovel their sidewalks, and it caused a hazard for people walking into the street or walking, So, that is something to please, be mindful of. Once it snows, please, shovel your driveways, your sidewalks, shovel your sidewalks so that people can walk by. We also ask you, with a lot of stuff that we have going on, we're going to be having a lot more things happening in the near future with opening up our building. So, please follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, to stay tuned with the information that we have provided, because we're doing this coat drive with Community Baptist Church. We're just trying to get the word out. So if anyone knows somebody that can that needs a coat or something, please let them know that they can come. If they happen to not be able to attend these hours and someone needs a coat, they can contact me. My phone number is 732-873-5533, extension 3225. They can contact me so we can set up a time where they can come and get whatever they may need, because this winter has been brutal. It's been cold and we've had a lot of snow. And we don't want to have anyone not have what they need to be warm.
Thank you, Kenny.
So,
Linda, you had a question? Linda, you had a question?
Yes, my question is to Kenneth.
Go
So
ahead.
now with the cars being parked on the street, are you guys actually giving out tickets to the people in the area who are parking on the wrong side of the street? Because a lot of that is happening now. And I have a lot of the neighbors that are coming by knocking on the door because they know that I'm the county committee woman. And they ask the question, how come the cops are not ticketing the cars that are parked on the wrong side of the street? Because that seems to be a big thing in the 5th Ward right now.
well, we're trying to, I know personally for myself, before we start ticketing people, we're trying to, make people aware of it. When it comes to the snow, it's became a big issue with the streets not being able to plow, and there was times where we couldn't go down certain roads on emergency calls because the streets wasn't plowed, because they couldn't plow it because of the cars parked in the street. So with that, yes, they are going to, but we're trying to create some sort of awareness for before we can issue a car, let them know, because we can we can try to figure out who they are, and we can contact them, listen, you gotta move your car. In regards to the parking offenses that you're talking about on a normal day, or on a normal day, right?
Actually parking anytime, not even when it's just this, it's because it's snow on the ground now, but they're actually just, when they get home, they just park on the wrong side of the street.
So
just to get out the car and go right up to their door.
With that,
and I can see it being an issue, because a lot of times if someone is driving down the street in the right direction, now there's a chance of them having to swerve out or whatever because the other person is coming out in oncoming traffic.
Right. So if they have any issues like that, and I know they contact you, they can, contact the police. And here's the thing, you don't have to give, you call 911 or for that, you can call it the 973, the 873-2300 number, and, give the information. You don't have to say where you live. You don't have to say who you are, and you can remain anonymous and place that complaint. A lot of times,
What was that number again? Sorry.
The 732
Uh-huh.
873
873.
2300. That's the non-emergency number. That takes you right to the dispatcher.
Okay, thank you. As the councilman will testify, all this stuff with the parking of the cars was discussed at last night's council meeting. So, the township is aware of this situation. Right, Councilman?
Yes, so we are sensitive to the difficulties of the citizens, and we obviously do not want to add to the burden by giving you more tickets to make matters worse. But we ask everybody to be aware that if you park your cars knowing the plow trucks cannot pass through that section, and it's going to affect the snow clearing. We have had a lot of complaints about that throughout the township. So we are asking everybody to try not to park on the street if it snows as possible.
If you have,
I have one more update. I'll just do that, Gary. So the Ward 2 councilman, Will Galtieri, had to relocate to a nearby town, a neighboring town in Middlesex County. So Ward 2 had an opening, and that has been now, a few people had interviewed, screened, and then we chose Shipa Uddin of Ward 2 as the replacement for the time being, and until the next election, which is in November. That's all I have.
She'll be our guest speaker, hopefully in April. Okay, yes. The last thing that I have is that Willie and I had a chance to talk to Milo, who has decided to resign because of his health. And as soon as I get the okay from the township, we're going to replace him. So if anyone on the call here knows of anyone that's interested in joining the commission, have them send me a resume, and then Nora and I will review it, and we'll keep you posted on it. Okay? If there's no other questions at all, I'll accept a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you on March 24th. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.